Well, hello there, my single mother tribe. How are you doing? Thank you for joining me for another Check In Wednesday. My name is Hope Porter, for those of you who don't know me, and I am your very single godmother. Well, today is National Mental Health Awareness Day, and I would like to talk to you guys about something that hits pretty close to home for me, especially within the last couple of weeks. So, without further ado, let's get started. Okay, well, I want to get right into the this today's check-in Wednesday, and um, I know you guys have been hearing me say, I've been going through some things for the last couple of weeks, and when I felt like it was time to discuss it, that I would let you know. And I've been really thinking about it and praying about it, and unbeknownst to me, like I said, I didn't realize today was Mental Health Awareness Day until my daughter had brought it to my attention. So what better day than to discuss this with you guys? Uh, and hopefully something that I say would be very helpful. You'll find it very helpful, even, to help you towards your journey of healing. So basically, a couple of weeks ago, I received an alarming call from my youngest son's school to get to school that they needed me at his school as soon as possible. And so when I got to my son's school, I was met um, in a room with a couple of counselors and a psychologist and the school's principal. And basically, my son was there as well. And I was told that my son had a plan to end his life that day. That he had planned to come home that day and to take some pills and hopefully never wake up again. And so it really kind of just, I don't know, I mean, what any mother would do, you would just literally kind of like your heart would just literally break and sink. I don't even know. I think I swallowed my heart that day. It was shocking, and I think I was actually in shock. Um, in shock, not necessarily because it came to me as a surprise, but I guess shock in a sense that it was something that kind of literally slapped me in the face. My son has been suffering and battling with depression for years now, actually, since ninth grade, and he's in 12th grade now. So for at least 3.5 years, he's been battling depression. And it kind of just started, and I just thought maybe perhaps when it first started that it was because, that transition from middle school to high school. And so I just kind of figured, you know what, he'll get through it. He'll be okay. Excuse me. And I just, would just pray even more so. And, literally, just thought that with lots of prayer and going to church and just seeking God, that he would get through it. And that was not the case for him. Now, depression is nothing unfamiliar for me, being that I suffered from depression most of my adolescence into my mid-30s. And it really was hard for me, especially when I was pregnant, because I suffered even more so from postpartum depression. And so, like I said, depression is not unfamiliar to me. And so I could really, having gone through it, like I said, most of my life, and having dealt with it for most of my life, I can see it on someone and kind of sense it. But like I said, just thinking naively, or just, I don't know what it was, to be honest. Like I said, I just, kind of figured that his experience would be similar to mine's. I was put on medication briefly. When I say briefly, I don't even think I stayed on for like a week. I was going through a lot in my marriage at that time, and it was just a little bit overwhelming for me to deal with what I was going through. My kids were much younger, and I just needed something to just help me cope with life at that time. And at that time, my doctor had put me on, I think, antidepressants or something. And I just didn't like the way it made me feel. And I just, didn't like the thought or idea of being on medication. And so I just said, you know what, this is not for me. Taking myself off. I'm going to seek a more spiritual way of treatment or healing. And so, like I said, I got off the medication, and I just kind of, dealt with it, really, to be honest. At my lowest point, I attempted suicide several times. And I remember one time in particular when it was towards the end of my marriage, when it had just got so horrible. The abuse had started, both mental and psychological and emotional and physical. And at that time, I was just so worn out and just so tired. I just wanted relief. I just wanted, the pain to go away. And so I attempted to take a bottle of pills. And as I was putting the pills towards my mouth, I really believe it was the hand of God that literally reached down to stop me, because my hand just froze. Like, literally, I could not move my hand to put the pills in my mouth. And, it was at that moment when I guess it kind of just snapped to me, like, whoa, wait a minute. This is not the way to go. This is not the way to go about this. Like, you have your babies, who's going to take care of your babies? And, this is just not the way to do this. This is not the way, this is not the only way out of the situation. And so, make a long story short, like I said, it was something that I carried and dealt with intermittently throughout that time. And I think that was near my 30s I think I was about 29, 30 at that time. And so it would kind of just come and go, and being a believer, being a Christian, at least for me, my experience at that time, I know nowadays it's more, people are more aware of, depression actually being real. It's not as much as a taboo or innuendo as it was back then for me. But I kind of went through it silently, because I was really embarrassed as a believer to be suffering from depression. Most people would say, what do you have to be depressed about? God is good and he's great. And, you should be too blessed to be stressed, and, just all of those things. And so, and nowadays, people are more aware that depression, is more, having to do psychologically. It has nothing to do with your spirituality or where you are spiritually. It affects, the best of us. And so I just felt like I needed to express that, because someone today may be going through that and may be thinking that they're alone. They may be ashamed, thinking that something's wrong with them or it's their fault. And I just want to set you at ease and just let you know that you're not alone, that no, it's not your fault. People suffer from depression for many reasons. A lot of it could be psychologically, biologically, and socially. There's a lot of pressures and stress going on in this world today. And, it could be trauma, post-traumatic trauma, from just different things that you may have gone through in your life as a youth. And it's just now coming up, and those unresolved feelings or emotions just now surfacing. And I know for me, that was a lot for me, that I think I've told you guys, like, I'm a stuffer. And so I was not raised to deal with or work through emotions. I was raised in a very, militant type of home, where we didn't express our feelings, and you didn't wear your feelings on your emotions on your shoulders. So we didn't know how to deal with our emotions, other than to just stuff them, or just to make believe that they didn't exist at all. And so growing up, that's just pretty much how I dealt with things. And so as years of stuffing on, in addition to life happening, and in addition to, being in an abusive marriage for 9 years, that just took a toll. And like I said, when you don't have any way of dealing with your emotions or working through your emotions, you're more likely to become depressed and to suffer from, deep depression. And like I said, for me, that was the case. So, Winding, fast forwarding, basically, um, how did I get past depression? How did I get healed from depression? Now, I know what I'm going to tell you, and I don't want to sound super spiritual, but this was my personal journey. This is my own testimony, and I realized that it's different. And like I said, especially having gone through this with my son, I realized that not everybody's journey is the same, and not everybody works through things the same way. And so what may work for me may not work for you, and what worked for you may not work for me, and we're all different in that sense. And I just believe that whatever works for you, like I said, for me, this whole situation has just awakened me and helped me to see that, whoa, wait a minute, this is more, it's a mixture of spiritual and natural, but, not to just be so naive and so gullible or to think that it's just a spiritual matter, that, like I said, it's psychologically and biologically. And when we mix the two together and come together with a comprehensive, plan of treatment, or getting better, then I think that we will see a great difference in people who do, suffer from depression. And so, like I said, for me, it just took me, because I tried going to a therapist, and somehow, way or another, I end up, I just have this effect on people, honestly. I went for a therapy session, and once it was found out that I was a minister, the whole session just took a turn. Like, we literally switched seats. I was doing more of, the listening, and I became the therapist, and the therapist became the patient. And after that, I was like, okay, this is not going to work, because I came here for me, not for you. But like I said, that's not the first time things like that have happened. That's just how it goes for me, because of the call that's on my life. So that didn't work for me. So, medication didn't work for me. Therapy didn't work for me. So my only resolve for this was God. And like I said, I don't mean to, to be super spiritual or anything. This worked for me. I literally just got closer to God, and I just, my relationship with God just really at that point in time strengthened and deepened, because that's all I had. Like I said, all of my other resources have pretty much ran out or failed me. Not saying that God was my last resort, but I was open to other conventional ways of helping and treatment, but they just didn't work for me. And so for me, I like I said, worship. And that's how I really learned how to worship. It was during that time of healing, and I realized that there were some things that from my childhood that I had suppressed that were coming up, and I didn't quite know how to deal with those things. And it was just worshiping God and just getting in His Word, and just reading His Word about what His plan was for me, as far as His plan is for me to be healthy and whole. And like I said, for me, worship, and I'm a worshiper. If anybody knows me, you know that I am a worshiper. And so worship basically is what got me through, and what completely and totally healed me of depression. And like I said, I'm not going to go in deep, because I know some of you may not really kind of know where I'm coming from, and I don't want to go over your head. But like I said, I believe that there is a spirit behind depression. So I'm not discounting the spiritual aspect of it, but also I believe that there is a biological aspect that we need to start to address, so that people can get the healing and become whole from this thing. It's not just 100% spiritual. There's like I said, there's a natural approach and a spiritual. And I just believe that if we were to mix the two together, then we would see, like I said, more effective treatment and therapy. So so I just kind of wanted to let you know that. By the way, I was just reading some statistics today, and found out that over 300 million people worldwide are affected by depression, and depression is the leading cause of disease. Um, yeah, and I can attest to that, because depression has to do with your mind and your brain. And as I had said before, that you know um, when our mind and our brain is not well, it really manifests in other areas of our bodies, because our mind and our brain is the central system through which everything else throughout our body operates and works. And so, the brain sends signals to other parts of your body to function and to do what it's supposed to do. That's why when people, are brain dead, pretty much they become a vegetable for the most part, because the brain is dead. So therefore it can't, send any more signals to the other parts of the body, the organs, to do what it's supposed to do. And so, literally depression is a illness of the brain and the mind. And like I said, I believe wholeheartedly that there's a spiritual side of healing that needs to take place in that, but also there is also a natural way of healing in therapy, and trauma treatment. Most of the people who suffer from depression has been through some type of trauma, whether it's been early in their childhood or as an adult. They have experienced some type of trauma that they have not dealt with. Unresolved trauma, unresolved wounds and hurts in the soulish area that has not been properly dealt with. And those things affects the emotions and the mind and the brain. So basically, right now, it's been kind of rough these past couple of weeks for me. Like I said, having gone through it myself, and then now walking through this alongside my son, it's just I can't. It's just something totally different, And I do realize that although my way of getting better and being healed and made whole from this is going to be a different journey and experience for him, and just being open to the help and being open to the healing that's available to him. So he's currently going through intense therapy, which has been kind of shaky and rocky. He's been, pretty much exhausted emotionally, which is understandable. But he's doing better, and I just believe that he is on his road to complete and total wholeness and healing, and that he's going to receive everything that God has for him, emotionally and spiritually and mentally, and that he's going to be just fine. So, if you guys would just keep, us in your prayers, I would greatly appreciate that. And, like I said, I just want to just reach out to you and let you know that you're not alone. Don't isolate yourself. Don't think that, it's your fault. Something's wrong with you. It's not your fault. If you can get some help, reach out to someone. I'm here. Reach out to me. But please don't do this alone. Please don't go through this alone. The worst thing that you could do is isolate yourself and make yourself feel like it's only you, that something's wrong with you. So if you guys will comment below, and just kind of, like I said, if you need somewhere to connect, there are psychiatrists and therapists and places that you can go to get the help that you need. But I honestly think that, like I said, it's time to start looking at this from a holistic aspect instead of looking at it from just a spiritual aspect. It is both spiritual and natural, and I think that if we look at it from a holistic standpoint, then we will see more people getting help and getting healed and getting whole, because we're not just using one approach and leaving the other one out. But like I said, certainly if you feel like you need some help, there is nothing wrong. I know that there is there's a stigma within the African American community that we don't go to therapists, that we don't do that. But I'm here to tell you that it's okay. It is okay. I'm telling you, I think that if a whole lot of people start talking to someone and working through their emotions, we would really see a drastic decrease in the depression rate that's going on right now in the world. I won't even just say the country, but it's in the world. So, certainly people need to, address this. Don't sweep it under the rug. Don't think it's going to go away. Depression does not go away without proper treatment. It doesn't. Like I said, I dealt with it from my adolescence until my mid 30s, and I had to deal with it. I had to face it head on. And yes, it's gonna get hard before it gets better. But if you stick it out, and if you have a good support system, people that are in your life to cheer you on, to be there, to be that support, to be, that strength that you need, to offer that help and that love and that encouragement that you need, then you're going to do just fine. You're going to do just fine. Okay. So I apologize. I know that this video might be a little bit melancholy, and I didn't, I wish it was, a little bit different, but I think that we need to start to discuss things like this. Time has gone, far too much time has gone past without discussions like this being put on the table. And far too many people we've lost this year, last year, and years in past because no one was willing to talk about it. No one was willing to make it a discussion. No one was, everyone closed their eyes, swept it on the rug. And this is not the time to do this now. We have people, I believe the statistic says that 41,000 people lose their lives to suicide. I think every 13 minutes someone commits suicide. That is an alarming rate. That is just horrible that people feel like they can't go to anyone and talk to. And I'm just so grateful and thankful that it's by the grace of God that my son's teachers were able to pick up on his abnormal behavior. And of course, I kind of did inform them that if they saw some abnormal behavior, if they saw some things that were, kind of just off about him, I did let them know that. So I'm so glad that that day they were alert and that they were very observant and perceptive, because basically, it was that saved his life, and I don't know, what would have happened. So I'm so grateful and I'm so thankful that the teachers, like I said, that they were observant of the things that his behavior, and something was just kind of off, and that they were able to catch it, and that he didn't get home and follow through on what he had planned to do. So like I said, he's currently going through what's called a partial hospitalization program. He's not in a hospital. It's just, I don't know why they call it that. They really need to change the name, to be honest. But anyway, so he's doing group therapy. He has a psychiatrist he sees, a therapist that he sees, and he's doing better. We had a little rough patch on Monday, but we got back on track and we're doing better. And then after this, he'll be doing 5 days. So this program is 10 days, and then the other program will be 5 days for him. And then this is a different approach. This is through a Christian organization. And so their theory behind trauma crisis treatment is that getting to the root. So instead of treating the symptoms of depression, they're actually going to really do some intense therapy to where they will get right to the root of the cause. So they're dealing with what trauma happened in the past or current that has caused these symptoms to manifest and arise. And so I'm really looking forward to him starting that treatment program, because I really believe that, like I said, that's going to be highly effective. So, but yeah, like I said, if you have been battling depression or suffering from depression by yourself or alone, don't do it anymore. Don't. Let someone know. And it's okay. I just want you to know that it's okay. And it's going to be okay. And you are going to be okay. I am praying for you. I am rooting for you. And I speak life over you. God has so many good things in store for you. And you're going to get through this. And it's going to be just fine. Okay? Well, I just want to leave you guys tonight with just some words of encouragement to let you know that I'm praying for you and that I'm here for you and that I desire the best for you. Like I said, God has so many things in store for you. And if you want to comment below, and don't forget to subscribe, hit that button. You know you want to go ahead and do it. I greatly appreciate it if you would. Okay, I will catch you all on Self-Care Saturday. Self-Care Saturday. Okay, so we are actually going to be on location on Self-Care Saturday. And we're going to go pumpkin searching and pumpkin picking on Saturday. Okay, so I'm really excited about that. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the week. And I leave you with love, peace, and many, many blessings. Bye-bye.